You want to throw the whole room off. Walk in calm when they expect you to be broken. Because let me tell you something. Your reaction is their control. And the moment they can predict how you'll respond, they own you. That's why the strongest people are never the loudest in the room. They don't flinch, they don't fold, and they damn sure don't let the world see them bleed. People will come at you. Life will come at you. They will throw their worst. Disrespect, betrayal, humiliation, chaos. And you can either dance to the noise, or you can become the storm. And when you become the storm, you don't rage. You don't yell. You don't panic. You move with power so silent that they start to question what you're made of. I've been in interrogation rooms where the person across from me wanted me to lose it. They wanted me emotional, they wanted me reactive, they wanted control. But I learned early, if they can't read you, they can't reach you. The ability to act as if nothing bothers you is not about pretending. It's about owning your response. It's about being so centered that not even chaos can penetrate your peace. You think strength is volume. Strength is composure. Strength is walking away from disrespect like it never touched you. Strength is not needing to prove anything to anyone, because you've already proven it to yourself in silence. That's where the power is, and people fear that. They fear what they cannot shake, what they cannot unbalance. So you learn to keep your face calm when they push your buttons. You keep your voice steady when everything inside you wants to scream. Because the moment you react emotionally, you hand them the keys to your peace. Emotional control is power, real power, the kind that doesn't come from titles, money, or followers. I'm talking about the kind of power that lives in your ability to stay composed when someone is trying to drag you into their storm. When someone disrespects you, when life blindsides you, when people try to provoke you just to watch you break, that's when your real strength shows up. And it's not in how loud you can get. It's not in how many words you can throw back. It's in your ability to sit in that moment, feel every ounce of that heat, and still choose not to explode. See, when you lose control of your emotions, you hand your power to someone else. You're basically saying, you get to decide how I feel, how I think, and how I behave. You become a puppet. You react how they want you to, when they want you to, and they know exactly how to pull your strings. That's weakness dressed up as passion. But when you take that moment, breathe, and respond with intention instead of impulse, that's when the game changes. That's when you start leading instead of following. That's when they stop underestimating you. Because emotional control is not suppression. It's not about pretending things don't hurt. It's about not letting the pain become your voice. It's about recognizing what's going on inside you, owning it, and still choosing how to move. You don't let rage make your decisions. You don't let fear lead your response. You don't let petty people pull you into petty battles. You rise, you think, you move with calculated calm, because you know the person who controls their emotions is the one who controls the room. Your calm is your weapon. And don't you ever forget that. In a world that feeds off reaction, where everyone is waiting for you to crack, to snap, to show weakness, your stillness becomes your dominance. They want you emotional because emotions make people sloppy. They want you loud because loud is predictable. But when you stay calm, when your face doesn't twitch, when your voice doesn't rise, you flip the entire script. You don't just hold the room, you own it. I've walked into rooms with people 3 times my size, with more experience, more power, more rank. And I didn't flinch. Why? Because I knew the most dangerous person in that space was the one who didn't need to prove anything. You don't have to shout when your energy speaks for you. You don't have to fight every battle. You just have to know that the moment you stay calm when everyone else is losing it, you're in control. That kind of calm doesn't come easy. It's trained. It's built through fire, through restraint, through knowing that if they can't get a rise out of you, they start questioning their own game. That silence, it's not weakness, it's psychological dominance. Because now they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know how you're going to move. And that unknown is more powerful than any reaction you could have given. That's what gets in their head. That's what keeps them off balance. When your calm is real, when it's earned, when it's grounded, it becomes untouchable. And untouchable is exactly what you need to be when the world is trying to get a piece of your peace. Silence confuses the enemy. It throws them off, because most people expect noise. They expect you to defend, to explain, to lash out. And when you don't give them that, when you don't react the way they planned, you create uncertainty. They don't know what's going on inside you, and that's exactly where your power lies. Because the moment they can't read you, they can't manipulate you. You take their control away simply by saying nothing. I've seen it again and again. People walking into rooms trying to stir things up, trying to provoke, trying to bait a reaction. And most fall right into the trap, start talking too much, defending things that don't need defending, revealing what they're thinking, what they fear. But the ones who win, who truly own the moment, they stay still, not passive, strategic, calculated, controlled. When you speak only when necessary, when you don't react on impulse, people start to question their own strategy. They start doubting themselves. Was their insult too soft? Did you miss the jab? Are you unaffected? Your silence makes them uncomfortable, and discomfort is power. You don't need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't need to fight battles that were designed just to drain you. Let your silence speak. Let your stillness disturb. Let your unreadable presence do the work, because when they don't know what's coming next, they lose the upper hand, and that's when you've already won, without saying a single word. Reactions reveal weakness, and I don't mean emotional sensitivity. I mean the kind of reaction that shows you can be played. When someone knows they can trigger you, they own a piece of you. They know which button to press, and the moment they press it, you explode. You lash out, you lose focus, and now you're no longer in control. They are. That's not strength. That's being emotionally exposed. And people use that exposure to control outcomes, to manipulate you, to push you right where they want you. It's not about never feeling angry or upset. Those are human emotions. But the difference between power and weakness is what you do with those emotions in the moment. You can feel the fire, but don't let it burn the room down. Don't give them the satisfaction of watching you unravel, because every time you overact, you confirm what they hoped, that you're unstable, that you're insecure, that they've got you. But when you hold it down, when you stay poised under pressure, you shift the dynamic. You let them throw their worst and respond like it didn't even scratch you. And that stings more than any comeback ever could. That makes people think twice. Because they realize they can't manipulate you. They can't control you. You're not reactive. You're not predictable. You're not easy to shake. And in this world, unpredictability is power. Being calm when you have every reason not to be. That's where your strength becomes undeniable. You walk into a room, and they don't know what you'll say, how you'll react, how you'll move. And that kind of control isn't just rare, it's respected. When you stop handing people your emotional blueprint, you stop handing them power, and that's when they finally realize. You don't break. Acting unbothered is not pretending. It's owning your energy. It's not about faking it or pretending like things don't get to you. It's about refusing to let those things dictate your behavior. There's a difference. One is suppression, the other is mastery. When you act unbothered, it doesn't mean don't feel the sting, the disrespect, the chaos around you. It means you've decided that your peace isn't up for auction. It means you've trained yourself not to flinch every time life throws a punch. See, people misunderstand this. They think being calm is fake, that it means you're cold or numb. But the truth is, the calmest people are the ones who've been through the most. They've just chosen not to let it control them. And that takes strength. It takes discipline. Because it's easy to pop off, to clap back, to match people's immaturity. That's what the world expects. But when you act unbothered, you send a different message. You say, I know who I am. I don't need to prove anything to you. And let me tell you, nothing intimidates weak people more than someone who doesn't need to react. Someone who can sit in a storm and still keep their poise. That's not fake. That's powerful. That's earned. You learn to sit with discomfort without performing it. You learn to carry your scars without making them your identity. Because the moment you let someone pull you out of character, you've given them the script. You've allowed them to rewrite who you are. So no, it's not pretending. It's restraint. It's strategy. It's knowing that emotional control is not about being disconnected from yourself. It's about being so deeply connected to your truth that nobody else can rattle it. That's the difference. That's the edge. And that's how you walk through fire without ever letting them see you burn. You are not obligated to react. Read that again. You don't owe anyone your energy just because they demand a response. Someone comes at you sideways, throws shade, tries to push your buttons. You are allowed to say nothing. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to protect your peace like it's sacred ground, because it is. The world has trained us to believe that silence is weakness, that if you don't respond, you're backing down. But let me tell you, silence is not surrender. Silence is strategy. When you respond to every insult, every jab, every piece of gossip, you're living on defense. You're letting people drag you into their mess, their drama, their emotional immaturity. And they want that. They want your reaction because your reaction validates them. It tells them they got to you. But when you withhold that, when you keep your expression still, your posture steady, they start to question themselves. They start to feel that sting of being ignored. And that silence, that's louder than anything you could have said. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Let them throw their tantrum. Let them talk. Let them gossip. That's noise. You don't rise by engaging with every distraction. You rise by focusing on what actually matters. And most of the time, it's not them. It's not their opinion. It's not their drama. You are not here to dance every time someone claps. You're here to yield, to grow. And that requires discipline. That requires you to be bigger than the moment. So the next time someone tries to bait you into reacting, remember your peace is not up for debate. You're not obligated to step down to their level. You don't need to prove your worth through confrontation. You prove it through self-control, through silence, through walking away with your head held high while they burn out trying to pull you down. Maturity means choosing peace over drama. And that choice, that discipline, that internal decision, it doesn't come from weakness. It comes from experience, from pain. From learning, sometimes the hard way, that not everything deserves your attention. You realize at some point in your life that being reactive to every petty situation is just emotional exhaustion disguised as engagement. You get tired of being pulled into every storm that passes by. And you reach a point where you decide, my peace is too expensive to rent out to chaos. And when that moment hits you, something changes. You start to walk differently, not with arrogance, but with stillness. You don't feel the need to correct every rumor. You don't jump into every argument. You don't explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You're done proving, pleading, done defending. Why? Because you've outgrown the noise. You've elevated beyond the drama. You've realized that not all battles are yours to fight, and not every fight is worth the bruise. I've been there, standing in rooms full of ego, surrounded by people addicted to conflict, chaos, and attention. And what I learned in those moments is that real strength doesn't shout. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't engage just because it can. Real strength is restraint. It's the ability to be right and still choose to be silent. It's the power to walk away when your pride wants to stay. And it's that decision, to walk away from drama, not because you're scared, but because you're focused, that defines the next level of who you become. Maturity is knowing that most people who try to start drama are fighting battles with themselves. It's rarely about you. It's their own insecurity, their own fear, their own lack of control showing up in the form of manipulation, gossip, and conflict. And once you see that, once you truly understand that their behavior is a reflection of them and not a judgment of you, you stop engaging. You stop participating in their chaos. Because now you see the game for what it is, and you no longer play small enough to entertain it. You want to know what maturity looks like. It's watching someone insult you, lie about you, test you, and choosing not to respond. Not because you couldn't, but because you don't need to. Because your peace is rooted so deep that no amount of noise can shake it. That's when you've leveled up. That's when people start to notice that they can't reach you the way they used to. And some won't like it. Some will get louder, more dramatic, more reactive. Why? Because you're no longer dancing to their dysfunction. You've risen above it. And they hate the view from below. And it's not always easy. Let's be real. Sometimes you want to fire back. Sometimes you want to say, let me remind you who I am, but that voice, that impulse, it's your ego. And ego loves drama. Ego wants revenge. Maturity, though. Maturity whispers. Let them talk. Let them reveal themselves. Your truth doesn't need a defense. Your life is the evidence. And when you live that way, you attract peace. You attract people who speak the language of growth, not gossip. Of elevation, not confrontation. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop wasting energy trying to fix every misunderstanding. You realize that no matter what you do, some people will twist your words. Some will paint you as the villain in their story. And that's okay, because you know who you are. And that self-knowledge, that inner clarity, it shields you from the opinions of people who haven't even earned the right to be in your space. You become selective. Selective with your time, your energy, your presence. Because now you understand that energy is currency, and every interaction is an investment. And you don't invest in things that drain you. You don't fund chaos with your attention. You start protecting your peace the same way you'd protect your home. Fiercely, unapologetically, and without guilt. If someone doesn't know how to bring calm, they don't get to enter your space. That's not arrogance. That's emotional intelligence. Choosing peace means refusing to let temporary people leave permanent damage. It means recognizing when something isn't worth your breath. It means taking a breath before reacting, asking yourself, does this need a response, or does it need silence? And 9 times out of 10, silence is louder than words. Silence doesn't escalate. Silence doesn't add fuel to the fire. Silence ends the conversation. Not because you gave up, but because you rose above. And that's what leadership looks like, especially self-leadership. It's leading yourself away from what doesn't serve you. It's choosing growth over ego. It's choosing the long game over instant gratification. Anyone can win an argument. Not everyone can win peace of mind. And when you finally get there, when you realize that your peace is more valuable than proving your point, you walk lighter, freer, stronger. Because at the end of the day, drama is noise, and peace is power. So you ask yourself, what am I feeding? The chaos outside me or the clarity within me? You don't chase arguments. You don't chase validation. You chase alignment. You chase focus. And when you live in that place, when you make peace your home, drama becomes a language you no longer speak. Self-respect demands control. If you truly respect yourself, your time, your energy, your values, you don't give everyone access to your reactions. You don't let just anyone walk into your space and dictate your mood. Because when you respect yourself, you start setting standards for how you will be treated. And those standards aren't up for negotiation. They're not flexible depending on who walks in the room or how someone talks to you. They are firm. They are earned. And they are protected with discipline. You don't respond to disrespect with chaos. You don't meet ignorance with rage. You respond with strength that's grounded. With restraint, with clarity. Because when you truly know your worth, you don't get pulled into emotional mud just to prove it. You let your presence speak. Your silence speaks. Your ability to hold it together when others are falling apart. That's the mark of someone who respects themselves too much to be dragged into nonsense. Think about it. Every time you react emotionally to someone trying to provoke you, you're giving them power over your inner state. And that's not respect. That's exposure. That's like leaving the door open for anyone to walk in and rearrange your peace. You wouldn't let just anyone into your home to make a mess. So why let them into your mind, into your spirit, into your reactions? Self-respect means you set emotional boundaries and you enforce them, not by yelling, not by proving a point, but by showing consistency in how you carry yourself. You don't lower your tone to match theirs. You raise your standard by maintaining your calm. And here's the thing. People will test you, constantly. They'll push just to see where your limits are. And when they find out that your limits are non-negotiable, that you don't rise to every bait, they learn real fast that you're not someone who can be controlled. This is the kind of control that's not aggressive. It's centered. It's calm but firm. It doesn't need to dominate. It just doesn't budge. That's how you protect your identity. That's how you protect your peace. Not with walls made of anger, but with standards made of self-worth. People treat you the way you allow them to. So every time you meet disrespect with composure, every time you choose silence over rage, every time you walk away instead of engaging, you're showing the world how to treat you. You're teaching people what you tolerate, what you engage with, and what simply isn't worth your time. And that right there, that's what self-respect looks like in action, not performance, not pretending, just quiet, solid, unshakable control. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, by what you tolerate, and by what you let slide. Every time you let someone cross a boundary without consequence, you're sending a message, even if you don't say a word. Every time you react to manipulation, every time you engage with disrespect, every time you let chaos pull you in, you're teaching them that your peace is negotiable. And people will keep pressing until they hit a wall. You have to be that wall. How you carry yourself sets the tone. If you're always available for drama, always ready to defend yourself, always reacting to every jab, they know they can get to you. They know they can shake you. And that gives them power. But when you respond with silence, with composure, with unshakable stillness, they realize quickly you're not the one to play with. You're not the one who needs approval, who needs to clap back, who needs to perform. You are grounded, and grounded people are hard to move. People watch your reactions more than they hear your words. You can say, "I deserve respect," all day long, but if your behavior doesn't reflect that, they won't believe it. If you keep explaining yourself to those who disrespect you, if you keep giving second chances to people who show you who they are the first time, they'll learn that your standards are just suggestions. But when you act in alignment with your worth, when you walk away, when you don't respond, when you hold your boundary without needing to announce it, they start treating you differently. Not because they changed, but because you did. Respect isn't just commanded, it's trained. You set the tone with your presence, with your choices, with your refusal to be pulled into mess. You don't need to scream your boundaries. You just enforce them, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And if someone doesn't adjust, they eliminate themselves. That's how you make room for peace. That's how you make space for the people who actually see your value. Because you've made it clear you won't tolerate those who don't. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be consistent. Because eventually, people understand. This is someone who doesn't bend for chaos. This is someone who doesn't fold under pressure. This is someone who values themselves enough to walk away from anything that threatens their peace. And once they understand that, the way they treat you shifts. Because they realize your energy isn't up for negotiation. Your presence isn't for everyone. And your standard is a line they either meet or move on. The battlefield is inside you, and until you learn how to win there, nothing you conquer on the outside will matter. You can't control everything around you. People, circumstances, opinions, disrespect. But you can absolutely control how you respond to it. And that's the difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck. It's not about talent. It's not about resources. It's about mastery of self. If your emotions run your life, if your mood shifts based on how someone treats you, if you let every insult shake your core, then you're at the mercy of the world. And the world will not stop testing you. You've got to train yourself from the inside out. You've got to build a level of emotional endurance that allows you to face conflict without collapsing. You don't get that by avoiding hard things. You get that by facing them, by sitting in discomfort, by feeling the anger and not acting on it, by feeling the fear and still showing up. That's the work. That's what no one sees. But it's what makes all the difference. Because if you can't win the battle with your own thoughts, your own impulses, your own ego, then you'll lose the moment someone challenges you. This is why calm isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength. Anyone can react. Anyone can lash out. But it takes serious power to feel the fire and not let it burn you from the inside. It takes control to be under pressure and still make the choice that aligns with your values. Because once you master your response, you become untouchable. That's when you walk into a room and they can't read you. They can't predict you. They can't throw you off. That mystery, that stability, that's what commands respect. You don't need to control what people say. You just need to control what you do next. Let them gossip. Let them doubt you. Let them try to provoke you. Your job is not to prove them wrong in noise. Your job is to remain rooted in silence, in strength, in discipline. Because when the internal is stable, the external loses its power. Storms will come, and instead of being tossed by the wind, you'll move through it like it was nothing. Not because it was easy, but because you were trained. And this isn't something that happens overnight. It's a decision you make every day. To wake up and choose mastery. To train your mind before the world gets a chance to twist it. To decide who you are before anyone else does. That's what builds the kind of power no one can touch. That's what turns you into someone who doesn't break, doesn't fold, and doesn't need to perform for approval. You become the anchor, not just for yourself, but for others too. You become the steady force when everyone else is unraveling. So you work on the inside first. You deal with your triggers. You get honest about what shakes you. You build emotional muscle by not reacting the same way you always have. You choose stillness when your instinct is rage. You choose grace when your impulse is retaliation. That's how you win. Not once, but every single time. Because once the internal is unshakable, the external becomes irrelevant. You stop getting pulled by every wave. You stop shrinking every time pressure hits. You move through life like you were built for the fire. Because you are. So the next time life pushes you, the next time someone disrespects you, doubts you, or tries to drag you into their chaos, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself who you are. You are not here to react to every distraction. You are not here to be controlled by every opinion, every insult, every test. You are here to lead yourself first, and that begins with mastering your response. Let them wonder why they can't shake you. Let them be confused by your calm. Because the real power isn't in how loud you can get. It's in how unshakable you choose to be. And once you become that, someone who acts as if nothing bothers them. Not because you don't feel, but because you are in control, that's when you become unstoppable.